Let's call this June 1st meeting to order. George, can you take roll?
Yep. Colonel Evans?
Here.
Mr. Grozan?
Here.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Here.
Mr. Miko?
Here.
Mr. Naso?
Here,
All
stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
District goals. We have 3 district goals, and all the items on this agenda will reflect those goals. The first one is student achievement. That's our first and foremost goal. Supporting that is is financial prudence, and that's where we maximize every taxpayer dollar to drive up student achievement. And the final one is community involvement, and we're working with all the community members. We're looking for help in a lot of different areas, and we get a lot of help in a lot of different areas. And so those are our 3 goals. With that brings us to recognition, and quite a few.
Yeah, we have quite a
Great
few
night.
recognitions tonight, Mr. Naso, and very proud to highlight many of our staff as well as students this evening. And we are going to start. I'll ask Miss America.
Miss America.
Maybe someday. Maybe someday.
In our mind.
But we'll start with Erica Powell, teacher at the high school, for the National History Day competition state qualifier. So, Erica.
That's funny because my soccer coach called me America Powell for 3 years. She didn't realize my name was actually Erica. So that's funny.
I do know your name.
Thank you. Well, I am here today. First of all, I'm super nervous, but I'm also here today to brag about one of our students, and that is Krista Albertans. And I had the honor of working with her twice this year, once for Model UN, where she actually won Outstanding Delegate, and as well as National History Day, which is why we're here today. This was the very first year that Strongsville High School participated in National History Day with 15 students. And it's a science fair-like activity, but with the social sciences, where they pick an activity, they do primary and secondary research, and then they create something to display their knowledge. Krista chose to do a board that she actually generously brought in, so please check it out afterwards, because she put hundreds of hours of work into it, doing research on parts of her personal history, because she's Latvian, and looking at standing up in history for your culture when the world tells you that you can't. And so she presented that at the regional level, and then she made it to state qualifying, where she did extremely well. So I'm just really, really proud of her. We look forward to working with her next year at National History Day, when we do compromise and community for our topic. So I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you, Krista, and you did a great job, and I really like you.
Whoops, sorry.
Beautiful.
Wonderful job.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, Krista. Thank you.
Very smart.
Well, Erica and Krista, thank you for being here tonight. We are extremely proud of you, especially in this first endeavor of National History Day. And you don't need to stay to the end of the meeting, but if you can leave your boards there so we could see them, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Mr. Ibe, I also wanted to compliment her. You were the first young lady that has made the smart decision to start at this end of the board, get your certificate, and be ready to go. Perfect.
Now it's an exciting time to recognize many of our staff members that have been nominated and honored both at a local and a state level for their outstanding prowess in the classroom. And I'm going to turn it over to our Assistant Superintendent, Jenny Pelko, to start those recognitions. Jenny?
Thank you, Mr. Robb. I'm going to head to the podium. And I'm going to call up Mrs. Katie Hawk. How you doing? Good, I'm good. Tonight we are recognizing Mrs. Katie Hawk for being the recipient of the first Knights of Columbus Teacher of the Year Sister Rita Mackert Award. The Strongsville Council of the Knights of Columbus established a program to recognize a teacher in the city of Strongsville and officially name it the Sister Rita Mackert Award after Sister Rita, who taught many years at St. Joseph and John, and I think she was actually my first grade teacher. So long, not that long ago, but long ago.
Oh, yeah.
Principals were asked to submit recommendations, and Dr. Sally Razzo of Sorare, the principal of Sorare, selected Mrs. Katie Hawk. And Dr. Razzo wrote, "Katie is an accomplished educator who puts students and families first. Her colleagues seek out her expertise. She serves on numerous voluntary committees and at not only Sorare but throughout the district. Katie is a teacher-based team coach and tech coach, and she even invites teachers and administrators to her classroom to observe firsthand her innovative teaching. She is a true leader in every sense of the word." So at this time, I would like to call up Mr. Bill Burdick and Mr. Joe Cianciolo from the Knights of Columbus to present the plaque to Katie. I would also like to call up Mr. Cameron Riva and Board President Carl Naso as well to receive a plaque on behalf of the Knights of Columbus.
Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, members of the Strongsville Board of Education, it's a privilege and an honor to be here tonight to recognize the Strongsville Teacher of the Year. Pope Francis once quoted, "When we come together and do something, and it's for the good and it's beautiful, everything can change. When all of this changes in some way, it does us good." So the Knights of Columbus are here tonight to come together to do something good, to recognize the educators of the Strongsville school system. These hardworking individuals educate, mentor our greatest gift as parents, our children. As Knights, it's our civic duty to support, recognize, and appreciate these hardworking individuals. As Strongsville parents, it's our way of saying thank you. Thank you for what you do with our kids every day. On behalf of 1.4 million Brother Knights across the US, Canada, Europe, and the world, on behalf of Carl Anderson, Supreme Knight in Connecticut, Robert Collins, State Deputy in Ohio, Jim Giroux, District 20 District Deputy, I present Joe Cianciola, Grand Knight of the Strongsville Council of the Knights of Columbus, who will present the awards to our winners.
Katie, first off, I just wanted to point out to you, okay, I've had kids in the Strongsville School District for 17 years now. I've known Cameron Riber for the entire 17 years and watched his career progress. And I've met many extremely talented and caring administrators and teachers along the way. You know, this past year was extremely challenging for my middle daughter, who had health issues, and the support she received by the principal, 11th grade principal, Mrs. Harb, was phenomenal, along with her teachers. I point that out because it's really hard to pick one teacher out of all the teachers that we have in Strongsville, because there's so many really good, phenomenal teachers. All right, and I want to thank the teachers this year for all the help they did with my family. All right, since we cannot give the award to every teacher here, Katie Hawk. She stood out amongst all those that were recommended for the award from the various principals. In hearing of all your accomplishments, I'm proud to present you with the very first Sister Rita Teacher of the Year Award. Congratulations. And our plaque to go in the district office present to Carl Naso, Cameron, and Jenny. Congratulations. Thank you.
I just wanted to take a quick minute and just thank the Strongsville Knights of Columbus and the Strongsville school system for creating this award. I know that there are so many amazing teachers that I get to work with every day and who are incredibly worthy of this award. So I feel very lucky and fortunate that I was chosen. And I love what I do. I I love working with kids and helping them to learn and grow. And this award really just motivates me to come to school every day and just do the very best that I can. So thank you, everybody, very much.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything you do for the kids. Thank you.
Next, I would like to bring up Mrs. Kim Kaminsky. Tonight, Kim is being recognized for receiving the Strongsville Council PTA Outstanding District Educator of the Year Award. And this is the inaugural year for this award, and Kim was selected, and she was recognized at the May annual PTA Council installation luncheon. Kim is a true leader amongst her colleagues. She serves as a tech coach and BLT member at Kinsner Elementary. And according to Mr. Anna Marino, her principal, Kim holds high expectations for her students, no matter who they are. It doesn't matter their race, their gender, their possible disability, doesn't matter, boy, girl, doesn't even matter who they are, that she will have the same high expectations for everyone. And she makes kids believe that they can do anything. And that means that they meet your high expectations every single day, and Kim is always reflecting and trying new things in her classroom. This has made her a standout teacher to Mr. Marino instantly when he met her. Kim, we applaud you for continually trying to grow and improve your teaching, essentially modeling that growth mindset that we all try to instill in our students. Thank you for all you do, and congratulations again.
Thank you. I'm very honored to receive this. I started 27 years ago at the high school. I taught at Drake, Zellers. Sad coming here a little bit, but I found a new home at Kinsner. I have been blessed to be with the best teams of teachers, and I feel like this award just makes me more motivated to every day to lead and to bring the kids to the next level. And just to reiterate what was already spoken, I am with a team of wonderful teachers, so I am deeply honored. Thank you.
Jenny,
Yes.
if I could,
Go ahead.
from just personal experience, 3 years ago, my son William had Mrs. Kaminsky in this very building. And for us, we were very nervous with William. And Mrs. Kaminsky was the last week I was actually at Kinsner, and I stuck my head in her room and I looked right at her and I said, "Hey, Rockstar, how are you?" Because she is. Not only does she provide those students with the education for the A's and B's and 1, 2, 3s, but she changed my son. My son was attentive. My son paid attention. And those are the basic requirements that you need to learn, is to pay attention to your teacher. So my heart, you absolutely deserve the award. You are an amazing rock star teacher, and thank you for what you do for the kids.
I can say ditto for Kirsten. She had
Well
Kaminsky
said.
as well, and Miss Kaminsky as well, and she transformed her to a nervous Nellie to a confident little girl.
Yeah.
And it all happened in the 3rd grade. So I thank you very much.
That's great. And last but certainly not least, I would like to call Mike Rodak up to the podium. We are recognizing Mike Rodak this evening for the 2017 Gold Star Teacher Coordinator. And this was awarded to Mike at this year's Ohio Association for Career and Technical Educators State Conference. It recognizes career tech teacher coordinators who best exemplify the 7 guiding principles of the program model. And specifically, out of those principles, Mike received this recognition for community support due to his collaborative relationships with local businesses, with our own mayor, with Rotary, with Optimist Club, just to name a few. Mike is in his 19th year, is that correct? 19th year, so you started a year before me, right? Yep. Okay, so Mike is in his 19th year teaching in this program in Strongsville. He has served 10 years of service at the state level, serving on the Career-Based Intervention Board of Directors. And his program hosts 3 recognition programs for his students annually, and they're all sponsored by our local organizations, which I think is just awesome. He does the Leadership Conference in the fall, the Alumni Reward Lunch in the winter, and the year-end banquet in the spring. Mike, congratulations on this very special award, and thank you for all you do for our students and our district. I told him he could speak, but he only has like 2 minutes.
So there's over 300 career-based programs similar to what we do here at Strongsville in the state of Ohio, and Strongsville is recognized each year as one of the leaders in those programs. We have a system where the middle school uses the teachers, the administration, the guidance department uses objective and subjective data to select students that are a perfect fit for the program. Once the students are in the program up at the high school, the teachers up at the high school are masterful at adjusting curriculum, instruction, and assessment to meet the needs of the individual students in the classroom. The administrative staff and the guidance staff up at the high school are always there to provide the emotional support, social and emotional support for the kids as well as their teachers sometime up at the school. But the support for the students goes well beyond the walls of the district. Individual members in the community, past students from the program, past teachers from the school, business partners from the program, business advisory members, the local Rotary Club and the local Optimist Club are all huge supporters of the program. They provide support, they provide opportunities for the students to feel what it's like to do some service out in the community. They open their business doors for the students to do career shadowing opportunities for them. They provide support for them throughout the year. Organizations provide financial support and guidance for their post-secondary education training. And they're there to celebrate their successes at the end of the year, academically, athletically, through the music program and their performance program. I'd like to take an opportunity to thank the board and the district administration for their continued support. It motivates me to keep doing what we do in the district. It's an honor to serve on your team, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing to get up each day and serve the kids of the program in the district. Thank you.
Mike, Mike, I'm going to put you on the spot for just a quick moment. I've been a Strongsville Rotarian now for about 5 years. And one of the people that brought me into Rotary was Dale Finley. He was one of my mentors. And I'll never forget the first time you came in with your kids to a Rotary meeting. And he pulls me aside, and he goes, "Just watch." I said, "What am I watching?" He goes, "Watch how Rodak changes these kids before they leave our buildings, before they don't have to come into a certain place every single day." Just like with Mrs. Kaminsky, I said that she changed William. Make them pay attention, hold them accountable, have them have the ability of just simply doing their homework. And I've watched you year after year after year transform these kids before they're gone. So I want to say thank you to you, not just for the children, but some of these single moms. I mean, people think Strongsville is an affluent community, and we are. But we have some transient people. We have children that have needs. And you reach out to those kids, and you make a fundamental difference in their lives. The first springtime banquet that I came to, there was a wonderful young man, and he was wearing a Marine uniform. And he sat down and had a conversation with me, and he said, before I met Mr. Rodak, I was hovering about a one percentage point on the GPA, on my on his grades. And after 2 years with you, I mean, he got himself into the Marines. So great job, Mike. Thank you very much for everything you do.
Thanks.
Now you gotta run the gauntlet.
Yeah, don't try to shortcut the gauntlet. Because Paul got away from the gauntlet. She got through it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Ditto everything George said, buddy.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Eric. You do it for the kids, man.
And for our final recognition tonight, I would ask Mr. James Rowan, Executive Director of OASBO, to come to the podium to recognize one of our very own up here at the front.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me tonight. I'd like to ask George Ananos to join me here, and if I butchered your name, I do apologize. The Ohio Association of School Business Officials is a professional organization headquartered in Columbus, Ohio, and our purpose is to provide professional development and advocacy to the business side of the school district. Our members are our treasurers, our business managers, transportation supervisors, and food service supervisors. And I have the honor tonight of presenting an OASBO Regional Distinguished Service Award that was sponsored by RBC Capital Markets. And these Distinguished Service Awards recognize one individual from each region of the state that has made a significant contribution to his or her profession. Each recipient will receive a $500 scholarship to be awarded to a graduating senior from a high school in their district. George's nomination came from a peer not too far from here. Mr. Ryan Gazzoni, the Treasurer CFO of the Berea City School District, who is also the incoming president of the Ohio Association of School Business Officials, wrote this in his nomination letter. George has over 12 years of governmental accounting experience. However, less than 2 years ago, he joined the profession as a chief financial officer. During that short period of time, George took on the aggressive task of not only developing the district's annual budget, but doing so in a format that adheres to the nationally recognized standards. These standards produce a document that is user-friendly format that includes long-term and short-term financial goals, financial history, and projections of all funds, and demographic and economic trend data. In recognition for his efforts, the Association of School Business Officials International, which is our parent organization out of Reston, Virginia, awarded George with the Meritorious Budget Award for the current budget year. This award is currently presented to less than 140 school districts in the United States and only 2 other districts in the state of Ohio. This is a great accomplishment for any treasurer willing to take on that task, but it is even more exceptional given the fact that George has only been a chief financial officer for less than 2 years and is brand new to his district. George, congratulations.
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Rowan and OASBO. When I got the message, I was truly surprised when I received it because this wasn't something I was expecting. As Mr. Rowan stated, you're nominated by your peers, so to be recognized by my peers here in Northeast Ohio, it's an honor. There's so many other worthy that could be recognized, so I feel lucky to get this as well. And just want to say thank you to the board for instilling the confidence in me in this position and allowing me to expand my horizons here and make Strongsville one of the premier districts in the state. So thank you. Thanks again.
Great job.
Thanks. Well done, George. Thanks.
To add on to that, the city of Strongsville and our schools are so fortunate to have a CFO, treasurer like George, who's that strong and that committed, because we actually literally had to kick him out of here on Sundays and tell him to go home, because he not only did he put that budget document together, but he also did the CAGR that was, in the time that he's been here, he's made such a fundamental change to this district that we're just so fortunate to have him. And thank you for recognizing George's hard work, because he's a rock star.
Thank you.
All right, that ends our recognitions, Mr. Naso, which takes it back to you.
We don't have any public comment tonight. We'll take it back to George for the treasurer's report.
Mr. Naso. I have one item tonight, a discussion item, about comprehensive wellness program. As part of our Strong Schools 2020 plan, one of the action steps to develop and maintain organizational structures that support district-wide efficiencies and effectiveness was to establish a wellness committee. In the middle of this year, we formed a 15-member wellness committee. It was made up of representatives from each union and our administration staff, with myself and Ruthann Franznek, our payroll and benefits coordinator, as the facilitators, along with Dino Shikoli that would facilitate the group. And the purpose of the committee was to promote a healthy lifestyle, well-being, and improve the quality of life of all Strongsville City School employees, and to reduce and/or avoid healthcare costs by moving participants from high risk to low risk and keep the low risk employees at low risk. The committee met a few times throughout the year, and we also conducted a survey to all employees to gauge the level of interest for health and wellness offerings. Of the 235 employees that responded to the survey, about 80% felt it was important that they know their health numbers and would be interested in district-provided health and wellness opportunities. In order to manage this effectively, I felt it was necessary to bring someone or a company in that has the expertise in this area to manage this and to lead it, as internally we don't have the capacity to do it effectively. We interviewed a couple companies and felt that the integrated wellness solutions would be a good fit for the district. I have here tonight Rich, I don't want to butcher your name, Signethel, from Integrated Wellness Solutions to share what a comprehensive wellness plan looks like and what his company can offer the district. If the board is interested in what he has to say, I could have him on a later agenda for your consideration. At your places, there's a folder, and within the whole folder is his presentation that he's also on the PowerPoint. So I'm going to turn it over to Rich.
Good evening. As my 11-year-old son said to me before I was leaving tonight, he says, Dad, what are you doing?
You have to go to the mic, unfortunately.
He says, Dad, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean, Jackson? He says, Cavs play tonight. Are you going to be home? And I said, I assure you that I'll do my best, son. It gives me privilege and honor to be here to speak on behalf of Strongsville City Schools in my meetings with George and my partnership with Dino regarding wellness. I want to take a step back for a second and say this. I've been speaking at a lot of board meetings recently. Schools have really been stepping up to provide opportunity and benefits for their employees. It's really cool. I'm sharing this with you that I saw a lot of respect from the board to the teachers and the employees and vice versa. I saw tears. There's just so much pride in this industry. My wife is a teacher and coach at Worcester City Schools, and sometimes teachers, sometimes the employees feel like they're not appreciated, and I can see it here, it's differently. And it really is cool for me because I'm in the private industry, and I have CEOs telling me all the time, if they don't do this, their premium goes up. I'm seeing in a lot of schools where you're saying, let's provide opportunity. Let's improve benefits. Let's improve quality of life. And let's try to help our employees to buy into our mission, values, vision statements. And I see it's happening here. You take a lot of pride. Tears from grown men. I thought that was pretty cool. So I am Rich Siegenthaler. I'm President and CEO of Integrated Wellness Solutions. I am a partner with Dino Shuley, meaning we do not come here to do wellness unless our broker partners bring us forward. Had an opportunity to meet with Ruth Ann and George, and behind the scenes, George and I put a presentation together to educate, if you will, on what this stuff truly looks like. For no other reason, we do have a medical director. I'm short on time, so I want to make sure I'm not long-winded. I'm very long-winded. We do have an operations director, a business development director. But here's what's really interesting, and there's such synergies in the education world, and what wellness is doing is because we value education. Sorry, George. We value education, If you are a manager in my company, you must have a master's degree in exercise physiology related field. If you are an employee, you must have a minimum of a bachelor's degree in exercise phys. Everybody is a certified health coach. Everybody is first aid and CPR certified. One of the other important things to understand is that we don't sell on the streets. We don't outsource. We're a true wellness company. Our employees are ours. We have 53 wellness professionals, all W-2, and they develop relationships with your employees. They integrate and collaborate with your wellness committee, help guide them, help make them champions, if you will, in their respective buildings so that they can go and send the message on all the opportunities. You would have an account manager. That account manager would be Jackie Konjerski. She has a master's degree from Akron University in sports science. She lives it, she loves it, very passionate, and she would start to integrate herself into the wellness committee and into your buildings, and we'll share with you high level what that means. For no other reason, I want to share with you just a snapshot of our book of business. We have 153 clients, over 53,000 employees in our book of business. But you can see that we do have schools. We have Dublin City Schools, Hudson City Schools, Perry Local Schools, soon Worcester City Schools, hopefully Strongsville City Schools. We have white collar, we have blue collar. We have townships, municipalities, banks. It doesn't matter. And let me share with you why. Every organization has a culture, and their culture is made up of what you believe. We are a believer as an organization as we work with your culture. We devise and develop programming that meets your needs, that you feel comfortable with, that you don't feel that here it is, it's cookie cutter, it's this or nothing. We devise it, we plan it, we measure it, and we reward it is kind of what we do. And in doing so, we work with the teams to get that done. So it would look something like this. You have a 15-person wellness committee, probably associates or employees from each of your buildings, and each one of them has a task, and that is, what does a wellness program look like? What we do is we integrate resources. Jackie would take the lead. Does this have a laser or a power laser on it?
It does. I think if you push the button
Just
there.
this arrow here?
Yeah, there you go.
There it is. I don't want to turn this off yet.
Unfortunately, it's not a
We would integrate Jackie, who what we call is the quarterback of your organization. She would probably be attached to people like Ruth Ann and George and your wellness committee. On the left side would be myself, our wellness strategist, and Dino, because we are looking at your claims data. We are also trying to make certain that once we identify what your high-risk situations and circumstances are, we really focus on educating the buildings on those high-risk factors because it's what you're dealing with. Our medical director, his responsibility, processes, policies, procedures for screenings, which we'll talk about. Alternative prevention credits, meaning if you have a tobacco user in your building, and I'm sure that you do, and you make that part of your program, how can he or she meet the standard if they're a positive tobacco user? How do we get that done? What's the reasonable alternative? If there's an appeal process, we handle that. And an appeal, what's that look like? Not to scare you. We come on site, we prick your finger, and we get numbers, cholesterol, triglycerides, blood sugar, you'll see that. And for all intents and purposes, George, I'm going to use you as a guinea pig. Your cholesterol comes back at 400. George is like, oh my gosh, I have family history, and his health coach tells him, why don't you go get a physical? When's the last time you've had a physical? And men will look at you with their chests out and say, I haven't had a physical in 15 years, and they're proud of it. But his cholesterol's 400, blood pressure 200 over 100. Get back on track. George goes to his doctor, and his doctor has him at 398. You guys get me here? George is mad because we had him at 400. The good news is George is on Lipitor now, and his risk for the organization and for the claims catastrophic events goes down, but our medical director steps in and says, George, it's okay, you get your credit, you did a great job, you're at 398 instead of 400, and you're on medicine. That's what an appeal process looks like. And because when there is any type of an incentive built in, which we would talk about, sometimes those things come up. But what you will see here is we have a whole health coaching team. And you'll see how this works in a second, but we have stress management specialists, exercise specialists, tobacco specialists, registered dietitians, our own customer service line for your employees for things like this. Well, we have a portal, and we don't have time to show you that. We'll give you snapshots. What's my username and password? Did you get my credit for that I did do the biometric screening? Things of that nature, so it takes it off of the table. We own our own systems and IT, so you never have to worry about those things. What's neat is we put together a wellness team that will support your wellness committee to infiltrate, educate, communicate, and we would deliver wellness services and have your wellness committee rah-rah us and get the news out, because your wellness committees in every organization, whether it's public sector or private sector, are not subject matter experts in wellness. Are they exercise physiologists? Do they have a master's degree in exercise physiology? Generally not. But what they do is they really collaborate and help get the message out. One thing I wanted to share with you is that there is a best practice standards out there for Ohio schools, and the School Employee Health Benefits Commission in 2011 put together a set of standards. If you guys remember, in 2011, Governor Kasich tried to throw out the SB 5 law. Do you guys remember that? And SB 5 put a scare into some public sector organizations, and they were looking at the benefits structure. I mean, are employees going to input more and all of this different stuff? So in doing so, they did pass a set of standards. And those standards included wellness or healthy lifestyle, disease management, and all of these different things looking like this. Are we increasing employee awareness and assess risk in order to prevent illness or injury? Are we evaluating claims information to try to mitigate risk and lower the costs? Are we doing biometric testing and health risk assessments? Is there support and resources for the employees of educational institutions so he or she has access if they're in need? In other words, these things are in place. They were never mandated. But if you're going to do it, there are a set of standards. Whether this SB 5 kind of bill comes back, I don't know. But what I will share with you is there are a set of standards, and for when it comes to educational institutions, we try to follow them. Because I think best practices are always the best way to go, because if any kind of law or bill gets put into place, you guys are already following it. So what we do is we set a program called Healthy Ways in place. You're 100% in control, but if you were to ask 100 organizations what wellness looks like, they would tell you all these different things. Well, screenings, health risk assessment, and coaching, and tobacco, and all of these different things. We have patented a program called Healthy Ways. And Healthy Ways, for no other reason, is a way for employees to have a roadmap to what their wellness program looks like. The key to this slide are these 3 bullets over here. We handle all communication for our organizations for 2 reasons. Number 1, compliance. It is important and imperative that when you provide opportunity in the wellness arena, there are a lot of regulations. We provide them. We would send the communications to George and all the committee members, and they would approve them, and we would say, get them out to the employees for us because we have stress management program coming, weight management program, we have screenings coming, let's get them scheduled, all these different things. We handle all reporting, all analysis, all education, all coaching. We run wellness, we report to you. And those reports would come frequently, and you would have administrative access to look at your participation in aggregate reports. You will never get any information on an individual. It's all aggregate. It's the mass. We can break it down by buildings and have competitions and fun things like walking programs and stuff of that nature. We can break it down into regions or departments. There's many different things we can do with one roll-up report. The key is that we would be reporting to you on every facet of wellness that is going on in your organization. We would start with the screening program. You have done these in the past. The employees are aware and they have been doing this, but it would be a little bit different now. And the reason is this. Yes, as you have in the past, we would come on site to every single building you have. We would come on site with our wellness teams and certified screeners and health coaches. And in 12 to 15 minutes after a finger prick, they would learn their total cholesterol, HDL, LDL, triglycerides, blood sugar, blood pressure, A1C, body mass index, body fat, weight, tobacco. We can do flexibility. We can do all kinds of things, and the employees would receive their results immediately, and their health coach would provide them their personal cell phone number. Everybody has one of these. They give them their email address and their portal access and says, I'm your health coach all year long for any needs that you have. And it's important, and I'll explain this later, because having an opportunity or an advocate that is non-biased, that is confidential and competent is key. And I don't care if you're private or public, employees don't want you knowing anything about them, nor are you permitted because of HIPAA and all the regulations. But at the end of the day, employees want opportunity. And if they feel comfortable and they feel you're competent and they know it's confidential, and we sign waivers of confidentiality when they do their screening that says this is between you and me, your organization will know nothing other than you participated. And then we help them from there. The neat thing is that you're going to have employees who say, I'm not comfortable with anybody pricking my finger. And it's okay, because we have a national partnership with LabCorp. And George shared with me and Dino that the spouses are eligible to participate in these programs too, because they are part of your claims data. And they are part of cost integration. So they can go to any one of the many LabCorp in this region, and we provide them access. They can call their health coach, the 1-800 number, get on the internet. They walk in, they walk out. They'll have an access code for Strongsville City Schools. They get their screening and they leave. The results go to our medical director, who gives it to Jackie, who will reach out to the employee and or spouse who could not be present at the screening and goes over their results with them as if we're personally there. It keeps that personal touch and education moment. We call it the teachable moment. Here's another thing. Some employees won't even like that option. And we say, hey, we'll give you a medical form. If you're going to go get a physical, have your doctor fill this out and fax it to us, email it and scan it to us, whatever you choose, and we'll give you credit and we'll go over the information, because we know your doctor's not going to do that. And it really provides the employees opportunities to break barriers. Does that make sense? We'll come to them. If they choose not to do that, that's okay. They have two other alternatives to earn credit or whatever it is that we set up when it comes to their program. The second component is the Healthy Ways assessment. Here's the neat thing. When we do screenings, we upload the data right into our system so that the employees can see during the screening. Their screener and health coach will have an iPad. They upload the data, share them with their username, password, they go and change it, and they see, Rich Sigenthaler, here's all of my data. And over here, you're going to see all kinds of things. Do I want a health coach? Would I like an exercise plan? Would I like a diet, eating plan, nutritional consultations? It's all opportunities for them. And they can participate as much or as little as they choose. The Healthy Ways assessment is another way for me to work with Dino when we get to the return on investment calculation, so that he has data. They can't cheat because we are uploading the data right into to the Healthy Ways assessment, and then they answer a few questions, 8 to 12 minutes. They get their results immediately, and attached to the Healthy Ways assessment are ideas and opportunities that IWS will provide them based on their answers in the assessment. So if you say that I am a tobacco user, your Healthy Ways assessment is going to give you links. Here's a link to a tobacco cessation course. Here's a link to your health coach. Here's a link to a webinar. And we try to attach everything that they do to opportunities that they have, in case they are not someone who wants to speak personally and they're introverted and they would like to use systems. It's really cool. The health coaching program is like this. When we do your screenings, we're going to identify your high-risk people in every single area that we screen for. And gang, I'm here to tell you, you have about 500, did you say about 500 on the plan, something of that nature?
Yeah, about 500.
Yeah. You have 500 on the plan, about 700 some employees. 70% of those employees are going to be high risk in something because 70% of Americans are considered overweight or obese. It is the largest pandemic America has. Tobacco, for 50 years, has been number one. And the Center for Disease Control says now it's weight, and it's going to be flipping tobacco in the next 5 years, because what is weight related to? Every single lipid or blood issue that you have, blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol. You guys understand what I'm saying? We will contact these employees. We will say to the employees, you are high risk in cholesterol. When's the last time you had a physical? And they'll share this information with us. We create relationships. They give information to us and numbers, and we're going to say, hey, we're going to call you in about 4 weeks just to check in. You will get a communication that says it's high risk health coaching week. You don't know who they are, but the employees do, and you may be one of them, okay? Because the health coaches say we're going to check in with you. And we call them and we'll say, hey, George, it's Rich. Rich, I haven't gone to the doctor yet, but I'm thinking about it. Hey, Rich, I went to the doctor. Yes, my cholesterol was high. They put me on medication. I'm not happy about it, but it's probably for the best. Rich, my doctor told me I have 6 months to change my lifestyle. Can you hook me up with a dietitian or an exercise physiologist so that I can get programming started? Yes. And yes, we're even going to get things like this. Don't ever call me again, and it's okay, we won't. You will get a report of the 500 people we screened. 350 of them we made calls. You have 71 who went to the doctor. 33 are now on maintenance drugs. You have 135 people on nutrition or diet planning. You have 140 on exercise plans, and you had 41 tell us, don't you ever call me again, in different ways. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. What's cool about it is that they have access to dietitians. They have access to their health coach and exercise physiologist every day. They can call them as much or as little as they want. They can do it online. They can do it email. They get text notifications. We would set it all up. It's really, really convenient for the employee. Now, if you look in your packets, you guys are going to see what I refer to as our Healthy Ways program. For no other reason, this is an example. I was sharing with George, when I work with people like Dino, he is a numbers guy, and so is George. And for him to leverage renewal data, and you are a self-insured organization against Medical Mutual, he has to have information and data that is impactful and powerful to the bottom line so that he can negotiate the network rates, he can negotiate the premium differentiation, sometimes he can whack the ASO fees, and we'll talk about that. But take a look at this. Here are typical benefits that you offer. You offer dental, you offer vision, you offer opportunities for people to go get physicals at no cost. People don't use them, but employees will complain if their premiums go up. This is typical across every organization. The key is that you reward them for that. So what we say is we can have a lot of fun and roll out programming, but if we want to get to the bottom line, Dino has to have data. So we say, hey, let's make a 400-point wellness program. If you do your biometric screening with IWS, your doctor, LabCorp, whatever, and you provide us proof, you can have points for that. You do your health risk assessment, you have points. You do your vision or dental exam throughout the plan year, whenever that may be, and as soon as we get the results or confirmation that you did it, you get points. The annual physical, tobacco, and some of the other schools are saying, hey, how about this? We have a tobacco user who says, I'm going to be a tobacco user and you're never going to change my mind, and it is what it is. That means I can't get an incentive. Well, we have some schools that are saying, hey, we'll do reasonable alternatives. Like,
hey, Rich, could you speed this up just a little bit?
Yep,
it's very
I'm almost
interesting,
done.
but we've got 2 other presentations
I know,
and a Cavs
I'm
game.
trying.
So,
and you guys tie this in, and we measure it all for you guys to understand what a wellness program looks like. So you would have a portal. Everybody would have a username, password. It is smartphone compliant. Doesn't matter if you have a Droid. It doesn't matter if you have a iPhone. You can do everything through a phone. You can do it by fax. You can do it by email, by telephone. It doesn't matter. And the financial considerations, to wrap up, you have qualitative ROI. We would survey your employees and find out what they like about the program and what they don't like. It's the soft stuff. What do they feel? Gather programming wish list. What would they like to have included in future programming as we tweak it? And do participants feel valued? On the quantitative ROI, what do the numbers say? Are we looking at participation? Can I give Dino information that says, hey, 70% of the organization did their screenings. What can we do with MMO? Because we're mitigating risk and we've moved high-risk people. Are we impacting the risk? Did Strongsville City Schools receive carrier wellness dollars or renewal credit? Because wellness dollars are available from MMO and whoever your carrier is if you're doing bona fide wellness programs. And how did that tie to the performance to affect premiums? This is the bottom line. If we mitigate risk, I give it to my partner leverages that against the renewal, and what you'll see is, hey, maybe they gave you $50,000 of wellness and you went 2% on your premiums in a differential, which ends up being thousands and thousands of dollars. So in summary, we're going to keep you compliant. We'll track and measure everything for you. We'll collaborate with your broker. We'll go on site. We'll have health coaches here. We can do lunch and learns at every building. We can do nutrition consultations. However we work that out, it's all part of what we provide. And you guys can see that we'll do your communications. And lastly, before I leave, this is a Dublin City Schools employee who said, by the way, I'm grateful and appreciate for all that you and all the wellness team is doing to promote healthy decisions. I've lost 30 pounds since the initial screening at the beginning of the school year. I joined Weight Watchers that meets at central office, have been exercising regularly, and have worked on all of the wellness challenges. Thank you. Questions?
The one thing else, we're self-insured and we've saved a considerable amount of money by going self-insured.
Sure.
So these type, I think your program helps us mitigate risk in that, in the population, and it can make a difference in people's lives, as you saw that.
I'm
So
sorry
it's
for going over time.
No, that's okay. No, that's fine. I just wanted to speed you up.
Yeah, the
But
Cavs play
but
tonight.
when you're passionate about what you do, like you are, which is something that all of us respect greatly, because we're all
appreciate that, and I
passionate about what we do as well. So I can feel your passion about what you do. So I didn't mean to,
If you guys have any questions, get them to George.
Okay.
I will make sure that we take care of everything, but we're very excited to potentially be your
Do you
partner.
have any data? Not that you have to present it now, but
No,
do you have
no,
any data that? No, because I know that many companies do this, and they do it for two reasons, right? There's numbers. There's one, we want to make a difference in our employees' lives, but two, the numbers guys in the back room, like George.
Yes.
There has to be an offset of the cost to reduce our medical expenses and avoid additional costs that way. Do you have data to support?
I do.
Okay.
Now,
and-
here's what you guys need to understand. In a public industry, there is never the stick, it's always the carrot. Meaning, in my private industry organizations, they'll say, your premium is this. It's called the non-wellness premium. You have the wellness premium, the non-wellness premium. If you have the wellness premium, that's the negotiated rate. If you have the non-wellness premium, it's up to 30% higher. So the return, all those dollars go back to the pocket. You understand? And in the public industry, I'm negotiating with unions all the time and talking to boards. The basic fundamental purpose of wellness in the public industry is obviously, number one, to improve the quality of lives, as you have said, Carl, to the employees and provide them opportunity. At the end of the day, there are financial impacts. And in doing that in this arena, it has to be around going after the claims data, making sure we get participation, making sure we provide opportunities so that we can give it to our broker partner who goes to MMO and says, we are truly doing this right for once. And then what happens is the carrier comes back and says, 2% on $3 million is $60,000.
Okay.
And if they give you $50,000 and you guys are spending $30,000 on wellness or whatever it is, the return on investment is significant. So gift cards are generally where schools go, meaning if people get 400 points, you give them a $25 gift card. Believe it or not, that sounds mundane. People do crazy things for a $25 gift card. Dublin City Schools does Kroger gift cards, and we had 1,800 Kroger's gift cards for $25 just because they did their screenings and all this
You
stuff.
see the crazy things George does for
I
the
hear
card.
you. Hey, so thank
Which
you very
one?
Right,
much.
that one. Thank you.
I apologize.
Oh,
Thank you.
don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
So, for me, I've got tons of questions swirling in my head. You know, I know that, like for instance, the clinic, they literally monitor and manage the number of steps their employees have to get to certain things. So the thing that I'm going to be curious about is, and I don't need the information now, fee structures, right? What does it cost for them to come in and handle our number of employees? I know you can only spitball kind of this, but Dino, between you and George, if we are to achieve a certain non-risk of our employees, right, through screenings or through whatever, what could the possible range of discounts be either now or what's the time in future, you know, a year, 2 years down the road? So we have to come up with some sort of perspective of, if we're gonna spend X amount of dollars, what's our potential in savings? And I'm not looking for one-to-one. What I'm looking for is, you know, something to keep track of, but we are also trying to hold people accountable if they wish on their own screenings, right? So it's gonna be an interesting document, you know, in big wide ranges, but I would like to see some sort of data, something that's tangible, or at least something that's based on some figures and facts. But also I would like to know from Hudson, Dublin, Perry, Upper Arlington, what the percentage of participation is through the employees. Because we can't force the employees to do this. We're a public school district. But what were the participation rates, and then what did they do to increase that participation rates? So just some more, trying to narrow things down a little bit.
Those references, George, so that you can contact them. Sometimes they give you a little bit more insight.
Right.
I can give you their numbers accurately, but it's always nice to have those references to see how they're doing it.
Right, and the one thing I would add too is, right now, we have our employees do the biometric testing. They do them on site, they get their numbers, but that's it. Nothing else happens after that. So now, there's the immediate touch that, these are your numbers, and here's the areas of concern that could potentially put you at high risk that you should address, and here's a resource to a health coach, a dietitian, weight loss, or whatever the need is. So you have that immediate touch right there that could help increase that participation, getting people involved.
And I agree with that.
Now I know what you mean. I'll get you some
of the
data.
You know, the foundation-based numbers is what I'm curious about. And then, yeah, providing them opportunities to be able to address those issues, you know, will help that feature. But it also, at some point, has to come down to Dino and the numbers that you can potentially provide for us, the district. Because we're about saving money, especially with what the governor just pulled out of our district. I will always remember people, you know, $4.1 million is a lot of money pulled out of a public school district. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Rich. Thanks, Dino.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
If there's no further questions on this, that concludes my report, but also moving into the next item. Me and Cameron are in tandem with that, with food service.
I have my question. What are our actual next steps? What are you looking for us as a board to provide?
So, our next steps is, if this is something that we're interested in pursuing, would need a board approved. So I would need, if the board is interested, I would need to get it on a future board agenda for your consideration, and this, so we can go into implementing a comprehensive wellness plan.
I'd want a recommendation from you and Cameron
Okay.
on that.
We'd want to see the, you know, cost-benefit type analysis that shows,
Right.
you know, in coordination with our insurance consultants to say that, yes, they think this is, you know, someone other than them to validate the numbers,
Right.
right? So, independent validation of potential impact that this program could have on a dollars basis.
Will do.
Okay,
All right.
you good, Richard? Okay.
Good? Everybody okay? Under the superintendent's report and timely information, as George shared, obviously he's done a tremendous amount of work with food services and our RFP, which ultimately brought in Chartwell's this school year to manage our food service program. And as the board is aware, although there's a 5-year RFP, it is an annual contract approval for Chartwell's, and that contract will be up for consideration at the June 29th meeting. So we thought it would be a good idea for, to have Justin and Mike come in and share some updates with where we're going. They've got almost a year, full school year under their belts, and they're here to present what they've learned and what they believe should be in store for the 17-18 school year, should the board approve that contract to continue to enhance Chartwell's service to our food program in our district. So, guys, if you want to come up, get your presentation ready and get started. George, is there anything you want to add before they start?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, administrative staff. Thank you, board, for allowing us to come present. As we wind down the school year and wind down year one of us operating the food service department, we honor the partnership with the district. We wanted to share some of our key findings from our first year of operations. And as we analyzed the business for the year, we really looked at areas of improvement and what we can do better for next year. So through our analyzing the operations of the program, we identified 8 key areas of improvements that we would like to activate for next year. Out of those 8 key areas of improvements, 6 of them are tied to revenue generators. And out of those 6 revenue generators, 4 of them focus on the students and how we can increase participation, which would increase meal reimbursements, which would improve our bottom line. So one of the first areas that we looked at, and we looked at all elementary buildings. So what we've noticed this year, we've had a challenge with breakfast participation throughout the district for a lot of different reasons. So one area of improvement, and what we'd like to focus on next year in all of the elementary buildings, is bringing breakfast to the classrooms for the students. So working with the administrative staff and the building principals and the maintenance team, allowing us to prepare breakfast meals and bringing them to the classrooms in all of the elementary buildings next year will greatly improve what we're doing. First and foremost, it would provide the students breakfast, which will allow them to have a better day in education and all their activities. So really activating a breakfast in the classroom program is what we'd like to focus on next year. So working with the broader team to make that happen will certainly improve where we are with our breakfast participation, which will greatly improve the program overall. With Chef Mike here running the business, he started the end of November, so he hasn't had a lot of opportunity to get out and do the chef to school and the sampling programs that we had anticipated on activating on a regular basis and a more frequent basis this year. So with a year under his belt of operations and really coming in next year, a more seamless transition, a more seamless opening of the new school year with us being here for a year, it will allow him, Chef Mike, to get out, to conduct more of these chef to school events and to provide more product sampling for the students. Menu modification, we're already working on that. We've been working on that. So analyzing the menu, making sure that we're dialed into the demographics of the district, make sure we're providing meals that the students want. So we did a big undertaking as we went throughout the school year, starting in end of November, beginning in December, and continuing to modify our menus as we rolled through the remainder of the year. And one thing we talked about is field trips, and again, not having the field trip calendar for next year, but if there are field trips at the elementary buildings, a way that we can cater those field trips by providing boxed lunches for the students and the teachers that are going out on field trips. So Chef Mike and Cindy are working on getting that calendar and then hopefully activating a boxed lunch program for the elementary students that are going on field trips. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, thank you. Middle school, so focusing on middle school. A couple things we noticed in middle school. So this year with the sixth graders being at the middle school, the way the middle school survey is set up, I think it was a little bit intimidating to the sixth graders, and the speed of service at the middle school wasn't where we expect it to be. So in analyzing just the flow of the business and the layout of the survey at the middle school, we have some plans to do some minor modifications to remodel, if you will, a little bit, just by moving some equipment to get the flow of the students into the cafeteria and the servery and out to the cashiers in a quicker fashion, so speeding up our service. So making it less intimidating for the sixth graders, but also improving our speed of service so the students can get in, get their lunch, and get to the table so they can eat and socialize. So it would have been tough for us to do that during the year. So now that we have a better understanding of the flow and where we need to improve, we'll make some minor modifications so our speed of service is better, quicker, so the students can get in and get to the tables and eat and socialize quicker. One other thing we're going to do is breakfast. We've had a challenge breakfast at the middle school, so there's a common theme with breakfast participation this year where we've struggled to really activate a strong breakfast program. What we'd like to do is purchase carts and again bring breakfast to the study halls or to the reading periods so the students, when they get in first or second period, we can bring breakfast to them. So if they don't have time to go through the cafeteria and get breakfast when the bus drops them off, we want to bring breakfast to them. So there would be a slight investment in purchasing some carts, but our anticipation is if we can get to the 216 free students, because we know there's 216 free students at the middle school, if we can get to 50 of those free students a day for breakfast, you can see our reimbursements would be just over $15,000. And then if we can get to 30 paid students a day, there'd be an additional $12,366 revenue just from getting the free students and the paid students to purchase breakfast. So again, take the breakfast out of the cafeteria, bring it down to the study halls and to the reading periods, and get it to the students.
Do you have a question, Richard?
So
That's per day?
per day,
Per day.
correct. One thing we noticed, the direct certification letters that are going out to the parents. For some reason, we didn't do a good job this year communicating to the parents that if their student, if their child is eligible for a free lunch, they're also eligible for a free breakfast. So we're going to do a better job this year in our communications to the parents when we go out with the direct cert letters, the information packets, and the cafeteria newsletters. We're going to do a better job letting the parents know that if your child is eligible for a free lunch, they're also eligible for a free breakfast. So one thing that wasn't done this year, we're going to get on the front end of it this year, so we do a better job communicating to the parents. At the high school, currently at the Mustang Cafe, we just have a beverage platform for most intents and purposes of what we're selling to the students. We would like to complement what we're doing in the cafeteria to increase our food offering upstairs in the Mustang Cafe by offering up things, again, that would complement what we're doing in the cafeteria for lunch, not take away. So maybe thinking about adding iced coffee or frozen yogurt, slices of pizza, soft pretzels, warm cookies, just to give the students a better offering of food and things that they can, when they're up there doing homework or socializing, they can have a slice of pizza or a soft pretzel. And we do anticipate with that of increasing sales by $250 a day just by offering up a better food offering for the students. So outside of students and driving participation and driving reimbursements, Chef Mike and Cindy have done a great job reaching out to the PTA. We weren't as visible as we needed to be with the PTA, nor were we as visible as we should have been with our catering expertise and what we can do in catering. So this summer we're working on catering menus for the PTA. We're working on different variations of catering menus, i.e. like a graduation party catering menu. We're going to get more aggressive with our catering offering next year. both with the PTA and continuing to build that relationship with the PTA, but also going within the district with catering and looking at outside the district catering opportunities as well. They're there. We just haven't capitalized on them.
What about at the stadium? What about
Concessions?
concessions at the football games? And then I've been there when they've had to order up, 5, 10 more sheet pizzas, and they're trying to, because they're out. And because we get a flash crowd or a lot of people there. I mean, is that a possibility for Chartwell's to cater that? Is that, we're paying.
So I'll give you the short answer. It is for us, for sure, and we would love to have that opportunity. But I think it's a deeper discussion with the boosters or the athletic department or whoever is handling
Well, they got to
and
pay for the
managing the
food. They're not
catering.
getting free food, are they? Is it all donated?
They're paying for the food, but a lot of the companies they're getting the food at are giving them a deeply discounted rate. Like Chick-fil-A has a program
Right.
where you're paying less than wholesale cost for those chicken sandwiches. So it would be a deeper discussion to see the financial impact of that to the booster.
They could
group.
beat that price.
Yeah, so the tough thing, to Cameron's point about Chick-fil-A, they'll use that as a fundraiser. So they'll use that as essentially a tax write-off if they give that,
Right.
that food, to the district for a discounted price.
Right.
And so it's a good opportunity for them to also, get their
Yeah.
products into the district. So it's tough to compete with them. Especially if the boosters is taking on,
Yeah, the
you know,
boosters
and-
would not appreciate that
Yeah, yeah.
format of taking that revenue stream away
Exactly.
from them.
Yeah, and we don't want to step on their
Well,
toes by any means.
I'm not saying we take the revenue stream away from the boosters. I'm saying that we would provide the food that the boosters would sell.
Sure. And we do
And
that
if
in
we
several
can match
districts.
And if the price is close, why wouldn't we make the money instead of, on the product?
Nice.
I think it's something to look into. If they're getting free food and they're selling that, okay, that's a different story. If they're, if they're buying food, because I know, I've been there when they've ordered more food, so, and they're
Like
paying
the
for
hot
it.
dog, they do the hot dogs and stuff like that
Right.
to see what kind of prices.
Yeah, so maybe we could do something like that.
Another thing that when we take over the concessions, we like to be in control of it because our staff that work in the kitchens, they're already Serve Safe certified, right? So they understand what's behind serving food safely.
Yeah.
To make, because you're really
It's
at
gotta,
risk.
it's gotta work for the boosters, right?
Exactly.
I'm not suggesting that we overrun them or do anything. If it can
Sure.
augment what they do and there's a win there, then it's a consideration.
We'll follow your lead.
Or if you can come up with something that they don't offer, some creation Chef Mike puts together there, I don't know, something unique.
Chef Mike Nachos.
Lobster bisque would be good.
Yeah.
But we can't cannibalize their sales either, so we can't set up our own shop next to theirs.
Another area we didn't do a great job this year is
Tailgate parties in the parking lot.
Yes, the pregame.
another area where we didn't do a great job this year is really letting the teachers
Before you
know.
go further, can you go back to the previous slide? How'd you come up with that number?
The 32.5.
Yeah, I'm just doing quickly 10 months. That's, you're suggesting $3,250 a month.
Divided by how many schools?
That's 10 PTA somethings at $300 a head.
We currently, year-to-date numbers in catering are roughly just north of $16,000 this year.
Okay.
So to double it isn't a huge task. Like I said, we haven't even marketed it at
Okay.
all within the district, even outside the district. So I looked at like districts like Strongsville, and their catering revenue is where that is, if not greater. So that
Good.
certainly is an obtainable number. Lunches for teachers, we didn't do a good job communicating to the teachers. We didn't have a special menu for the teachers. And I've seen it in other districts where when we create a special menu for the teachers, and if the teachers have a special place to come get it, even if it's in the back of the house in the kitchen, and if it's a soup and salad bar, we see teacher participation and adult meals where they should be. So we just didn't do a good job, communicating, marketing it, and then preparing a menu for the teachers. Because at the end of the day, for $4.25, you're gonna get a better soup and salad than Panera's. So we are working on an adult menu for next year, and we need to figure out how we can execute at the buildings where the teachers can come and they don't have to stand in line, and they can feel like it's for them. So we're going to work on that. We haven't finalized that yet, but we're going to work on it. But just, again, I looked at like districts, you know, middle school is approximately 120 teachers. If we can just do 30 meals a day, high school, there's 160 teachers if our numbers are correct. If we can do 50 meals a day at the high school, it's just additional revenue added to the bottom line. And we don't have a lot of that this year.
Will that increase the employees that are needed in the kitchen to work to service all the staff
It
lunches?
shouldn't. It really shouldn't. And normally when we're doing adult menus, it's a lot of, you know, salad and soup bar. It's a wrap and a soup bar. So it's not adding additional staff. They're already doing the prep in the morning. So the capabilities are there. The labor's there. So it's not anything we're talking about. It's not adding any extra labor to what we're doing. Outside of the revenue generators, we just looked at how can we reduce some costs. You know, in the beginning of the year, there wasn't a lot of good communication between buildings. So, you know, one of the elementary kitchen managers may have been ordering a case of something and they didn't need a case. And then another kitchen manager at an elementary school may have been ordering the same case and they didn't need a case. So we're putting a system in place of when it's time to order, better communication platform so we can share costs between buildings, split cases. Sub hours should be less next year. Overtime hours will be reduced. Cross training. So Chef Mike is working on a training program to cross train the staff. So if somebody calls off work, we don't have to send an assistant manager over to work. We may be able to send just another prep worker. One other thing that we didn't capitalize on this year was produce commodities. So we get commodity pricing from the USDA, and for whatever reasons, it fell through the cracks. This year we're going to capitalize on all of our commodity pricing. So that will be a cost savings as we get into next year. So in addition to that, I mean, there's no direct number you can put to this, but certainly indirectly. Listen, we got out of the gates. It was rough in the beginning of the year. We're in a much better place now with the staff and the leadership with Chef Mike. We just want to continue to build on the morale and continue to build on the culture and just fit in with the district and with the staff and just continue to be there for the ladies and give them the tools that they need so they feel like, you know, they can do their jobs and do them efficiently and feel like they're being successful. So thank you to everybody for helping us with that part of this. So to bring it full circle, we need increased participation in the buildings. And these 8 areas that we focused on are key areas that we know we can activate on and we can improve the business. We can increase participation. We will increase participation. We will need the help of the staff to allow us to do some of these things like breakfast in the classroom. So these are the things we'll work on this summer because we're confident now with a year under our belts, rolling into next year, we're going to be able to hit the ground running and hit the ground running fast and improve every day on what we're doing so we can provide the value that the board brought us in to provide. So thank you. I appreciate it.
I have a few comments to make and no, organized effort here. First of all, I will give you guys credit. You're falling on your sword right now. I didn't hear one excuse. I heard you say that we need to do a better job multiple times. Everybody in this building knows that we had a very difficult time with the transition, right?
Mhm.
I fully expected it. Bringing in an outside company to come work with our employees, and I don't think that you guys did a very good job of picking who we had at the forefront in this building. With Chef Mike, I hear positive things from our employees. So, great step. As a small business person, I've always offered or sold the best, right? So the few times I've eaten your food, Chef Mike, I liked it. You have a good product. You have a good service. It's going to take time to build on that. You did lose some opportunities, right?
Mhm.
We can drive more opportunities in our own buildings. Some of the ideas that you have, I'm not the biggest fan of, to be honest with you. I'm the guy who is thinking about, you know, pizza up in my media center we just spent $1 million on. And no, I don't want red sauce on my carpet that we just replaced, because guess what? We're not gonna be able to replace that carpet, you know, when it gets dirty. So that there's gonna have to be some very close management of that, and I obviously will leave it to you guys to do that. The things that I wanna know and the things that I wanna measure for Chartwell, because I'm in your corner. I think that you guys can do a better job, and I think with Chef Mike, you're not allowed to leave, just so you know. But I think we can do a better job next year. I wanna know penetration rates. I wanna know how many kids in each one of the buildings, plus in my middle school and high school, are eating your lunches. I would love to see those numbers from the beginning of the school year to when Chef Mike got here, right? Start thinking about being a little bit more detailed. As a father, I constantly have to add more money into my kid's account, right? There are certain things that they like. So instead of giving me a 1-month calendar, timing's everything. Send each parent an email on a Sunday saying, here's your school calendar for the week. Our attention spans are small because you've got soccer, we've got gymnastics, we've got swimming, we've got 100 million things to do. Give me a 4-week calendar, and maybe you set it in front of your child and say, okay, instead of bugging me, pick one day. You're getting to the parents who control the money to the students. You've got a captive audience. How are you gonna penetrate that captive audience more and better? Again, you've got a great product, you got a great service, you got a great person leading it, you have more consistency next year. How can you penetrate your captive audience more? Those are the things that I wanna be communicated to, especially this time next year. Because this time next year is when I'll be much, much more critical of the program. Sound fair?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate the feedback.
And the one thing I'd like to see is, this is your presentation, should we choose to renew the contract when it comes up, which we'll discuss at another date. I would like to see your presentation turned into a scorecard by George, and then of all the ideas that are on there, I'd like to see how many of them came to fruition and what was the result. If there's, you know, for some of the items. There's a lot of the items that you could measure, like PTA, catering, you know, just different things in there that you can just put down. You know, how did we improve the breakfast stuff, all that kind of thing, so that we could go back and say, okay, that was the game plan, that was the pitch, now let's see it. And, you know, in the review, some type of follow-up review at the end of next school year.
But George, I really wanna see penetration rates.
Right.
I really wanna see with their core business, what did they do to get to more children and offer a more healthy option for food through their marketing or whatever it might be, but that penetration rate to our own existing children is important. Participation rate, sorry, I'm saying penetration rates, absorption rates, I'm talking different, yeah, participation, you're right.
Yeah, I have those numbers and I can get them to you.
Any other question?
No, this just seems like a very ambitious set of plans, and I don't know if it's just like, okay, we're gonna have 50 ideas and maybe 2 of them will work. Is it better to maybe focus and hone in on things that you know will work? Like, I'm a little leery of the whole breakfast in the classroom at elementaries. I see a lot of pushback from staff and just how that would work. Instruction time is at a premium, and if you have to take 15 minutes out of your day to have the kids finish up eating or spilling things or cleaning up things, I'm just going off of experience just from room parties as a PTA mom and what a mess that was. And that was at the end of the day, so you didn't really have to worry about then having class all day with it. So I appreciate wanting to improve our breakfast, and I understand why that's so important, but there may be a different way to get to that rather than having it in the classroom. But I don't know if you've already run it by the administration and they've already given you the green light that that would be acceptable.
No,
or
they've shared
Okay.
their ideas, and we haven't gone forward to see which of these are, I mean, they're all a possibility. The breakfast in the classrooms, obviously, as they've shared, that's something that, if that's something they want to work towards, we're gonna have to take a look at, because there is going to be issues with that. We do have to look at, though, the reality of the breakfast program and how it's structured and when our elementary school students get to school and the time they have, it really puts them at a disadvantage to actually get anything successful with breakfast.
In the
So I
cafeteria,
appreciate
you
the
mean, yes.
opportunity, the ideas of looking at all possibilities, but yeah, we've got to look at what's feasible.
Okay.
Because we have some kids that get to school and 5 minutes later, they're going to their music class or art or PE. So that is going to be a challenge. When breakfast at the elementaries have been a challenge since we started it. So that's something we've got to talk more about.
Okay.
And I can just say clearly, I'm not leery of it. It's a bad idea. And I can appreciate your perspective. Your perspective is to increase participation. Our perspective is our main job is to educate kids. And having breakfast during reading is opposed to that idea. If we can come up with something creative to increase breakfast participation, but not at the expense of our education time, then I'd be willing to listen. But on the face of it, study hall, I know nobody thinks study hall actually should have studying going on, but there's a purpose to it. Reading, there's a purpose to it. Our library, I don't want pizza there. I want, coffee and that's it. I'd be curious to see if we would just cannibalize sales from the lunchroom, in which case we're not really increasing anything. The thing I'd like to see you guys come back with is your core is providing lunch during lunch times. And there's a lot of stuff to do window dressing around it. But what can we do to do a better job during lunchtime, which is what your core should be? That's what I'd like to really see. This first year was very disappointing. And from my perspective, from the board's perspective, that's where we're at. And I need to see a clear plan to be successful. So I want to see some more of that. I want to see more specifically on what are we doing during lunch? What are we doing during our core times? I don't know how we measure it. Do we have a problem? You said we're ordering boxes incorrectly at the beginning of the year. Do we have a problem with we're providing too much food? We're not weighing the salad bar. We're not weighing how people are going through the lines. Is that a problem? Is that a concern?
No, our overall food cost is pretty steady. In the beginning of the year, to Mike's point, that transition time of you had a renovated high school. The kitchen was a whole new setup. The middle school was a completely new building. So it took the staff some time to understand not only those new spaces, but the new menu that we brought in. So that's a whole nother learning curve for the staff that we had to overcome, and it took us a few months to overcome that.
Okay. So I mean, that would just be my concern. If you go anywhere else, you go to the salad bar, it's by weight.
Sure.
It takes care of itself. If it's not a problem, it's not a problem. But if we have hungry football players getting their $3 salad and walking away with a forest of greens, that's a problem.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this. Let's not forget where we came from.
Right.
Let's not forget that we have some of the highest labor costs because of the status of our employees of any of the school districts. It's very difficult for any company to be profitable in that circumstance, and I commend you guys for working with us and for bringing Chef Mike on. He's been a great asset to the district. All these ideas may not work. I know the breakfast thing is tough. I always think about that. How does a kid jump off the bus, get a breakfast, and get a minute to eat it before we're putting them into a classroom situation? Our school year is running longer this year than a lot of districts is. Maybe the answer is we shorten up our school year. We leave the number of hours the same, but we make the school days a little longer and give them 15 minutes to eat. Because all the studies say that it's better if a kid has a good breakfast in them, they learn better, which is what one of our top goals is.
Right.
So what I'm saying is let's not forget where we came from and put unrealistic expectations. I don't want to go back to $500,000 a year deficit, which is where we were at. This last year financially wasn't where we'd like it to be, but I think we'll give these guys another shot, another year, and we'll see where we are next year. And then I agree with, we'll take a harder look at that point.
Yeah. The other thing too is, we have to remember that we had a hard time organizing the build, with the new middle school. It took us a while to get to full stride there too, right? And it's still some bugs to be worked out there, right? So in fairness, we're educators. We do this. This is what we do, and it took us a while, and you guys are run a cafeteria and a food service, and it took you a while to get there too. So we'll see how it works out, but we understand that it's not, and I respect the list of ideas that you came up with. Some will work, some won't. The more that work, the better we are, and honestly, you're providing a breakfast or a meal to a kid who might not otherwise have something to eat, right? So some of the ideas were great, and I appreciate the effort and the work you put into the presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
George, this offer.
Dan's coming up. He's gonna.
Our last presentation for the night is a communications update from Dan to kind of share what we've put into place this year and where we're going to be going next year.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to give you a brief review of the communications plan and what we've accomplished during this past academic year. I wanted to start out the presentation with a couple of communication successes. And most of these tie into what we've done on a regular basis in terms of communication to the district and our stakeholders. The beginning of the year, last year we were sending out 2 different newsletters, weekly newsletters, every other week, a superintendent's update and a happenings from the district. And I combined those into a weekly newsletter branding Mustang Moments. And it's we've gotten great feedback about it, and I'm pleased with the numbers that the software that I use to generate these newsletters gives me a report each week, and we have an average of 5,300 views for the 37 issues that we've done during the school year. So in that case, I think people are at least opening it and taking a look at it, and that's a positive step in the right direction.
I like the format of it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's really nice. Very helpful.
The other email that comes out on a regular basis for the district is a monthly event calendar. It gives us an opportunity to communicate what's happening in the district, things that the community might be interested in attending, and just gives parents another way to add to their calendars and remind them of the things that are upcoming. That's been, again, well received. Similar type numbers in terms of opens and click-throughs. And coincidentally, later on in the presentation, we've done a survey, and the survey comments that are coming back heavily weighted on, I want to hear more about events. I want to hear more about what the schedule is and what's upcoming. So we'll keep that going for next year as well. The Corral is an internal employee newsletter. It comes out every Monday. It comes out the first Monday of every month. It's also been a positive publication. It gives each of our departments a chance to communicate 2 or 3 different items that they'd like to get in front of our internal staff on a regular basis. 2 mailings, the quality profile that came out last October, and I'm finishing up the annual report that'll come out this month. Mass mailing to the entire district, mass mailing to the entire community, Strongsville community. 19,000 plus homes in our community are receiving now information from us at least twice a year, and we'll take a look at if we should increase that or keep that the same. Excuse me. Mustang Spotlight was an opportunity for us on a weekly basis to recognize our staff members. 40 staff members and teachers by the end of in about 2 weeks will have been recognized by this program. The format was on Wednesdays. I would send out some recognition via social media, Facebook and Twitter, and then on Fridays that information was included in the Mustang Moments newsletter. It was really great to see the number of people that were commenting on Facebook about our staff and the impact that our staff has had on not only coworkers, colleagues, but parents that hadn't had a teacher for a long time, or their student hadn't had a teacher for a long time, and they were commenting about what an impact the teacher had on that student. So many teachers and staff members said, hey, I don't really want to be recognized, but this is an important program. This is an important way for us to salute and really give thanks to what our teachers are doing here in the district on a daily basis, and a good reminder to everyone about the quality staff that we have here in Strongsville. Last but not least, 60 seconds with the superintendent. Strong showing this year. Once again, we're on our 73rd episode, I think.
78th.
78th episode.
78th.
Apologize.
Wow.
Except for the host, that's a real.
Hey, Dan, I'd like to see, when we talk about numbers, I'd like to see the average seconds of those 78 compared to the 60-second goal, just so we could measure Mr. Ryba's accuracy and succinctness in his message.
It's a miserable failure.
It's meant to bring the viewer in, and then once we have them in,
They're staying.
you know,
That's
yeah,
right. That's it.
they'll
No,
stay
they're all-
forever.
they're great. They're
Next year he's doing vines.
He could do a year of Vines and still his average would be over 60.
You could change it to, 75 to 80 seconds.
Yeah. No.
And Dan, I gotta tell you that for me, the spotlights are just a wonderful, wonderful job.
Thank you.
I mean, it is, and you're right, I'm the one typically reading through all the comments and Facebook and whatnot, and it's just wonderful to have students that haven't been in our buildings for years, or parents who see a teacher that is being spotlighted. I think that's so important, and it's not just our teachers, but our support staff and everybody in our buildings, and it provides a face to the wonderful people who educate our children and support our children. So that one for me hits close to my heart, and that great job on that one.
It's also another opportunity. So the way that the nominations are done, it's really just going to the principal and saying, who would you like to highlight? And I think in many ways, when a teacher finds out that the principal nominated them and said, we should recognize this individual, that's another opportunity for a good feeling, for that recognition and reinforcement for that teacher.
Great job.
And I think one of the true testaments to this, I know when I've been on the board for 5 years now, when I first started, I would get emails every week that said, what's going on? You don't communicate. What's happening? What's this about? You'd see people on the street and they'd say, you guys don't tell us anything. Everything's in a black box over there. What are you doing? We don't get those anymore. I haven't gotten one in a year, I don't think. Now I'll get a bunch, but but I mean, that is really the true test to what you're doing, Dan. I mean, it's working. What the district is doing is working. The information's getting out there, and people are seeing our successes, and that's so important. It's not spin, it's not anything. It's our successes and all our great kids that we have, and all the great accomplishments of our kids and our teachers. I mean, the ones we had tonight. I mean, super.
And I would say that that's another meaningful part for me in the job that I do on a daily basis, is that, and I hesitate to call it easy, but it's easy for me because I am able to highlight the great things that are happening, and there's a plethora of great things happening in our district, and it's fun to be able to share that with everyone. So, in terms of community outreach, which was another goal of the communications plan, just wanted to highlight a few things that we were able to accomplish this year. The Community Advisory Council has been established. We've met twice. We have a third meeting coming up. We've already divided the group into 3 subcommittees: extracurriculars, arts, and athletics. So this group is really charged with taking a look at each of those 3 elements within our district, and how do we make them better? How do we move those opportunities forward in our district for us to become a premier district, not only in this area, but in the state of Ohio. It's a great mix of both internal staff members, but mostly community members, some with kids in the district, some that had kids in the district, some that don't have kids in the district, and the conversations so far have been really, really great, deep in meaning, and I think it's causing those community members to think more about these different parts of our district and maybe take that back to their neighborhoods and start some conversations on their own about that. We asked the neighborhood homeowners associations here in Strongsville to have some time at their meetings. We attended about 4 of those this year, and those that we were unable to schedule or match up with their schedules, we're going to try and hit next year. Cameron went out and spoke to these meetings, usually spent 20 to 25 minutes at the beginning of their meeting, took questions and answers. I think they were really positive. Again, another chance for us to get some great feedback from the community. And a lot of the homeowners associations meetings that we went to skewed on the older side in terms of demographics. So people that maybe don't have kids in the district anymore, and that's an important demographic for us to continue to reach out to. We continue the calendar of speaking engagements with community groups, Rotary, the Chamber, and we'll continue to look at those opportunities in terms of a rotating basis on who we still need to talk to and who it makes sense for us to reach out to on an annual basis. We held, or in the next few weeks, it will be our 6th community conversations. We had 6 community conversations this year. A chance for Cameron and designated staff members to get out into the community, away from the school buildings, away from our environment, and get to some places around Strongsville that maybe we can get in front of that we wouldn't normally have a chance to get in front of. Places like the mall, the library, different restaurants in the area. So our last one is on Thursday, June 15th. It's an ice cream social at Olympia. Bob McGrath has been very generous for a number of years with our district, but he stepped up and offered up the opportunity for those attending that community conversation to get a free single ice cream cone or cup. And we're looking.
Is that for us as well?
That's for us as well, right? Yeah. So an extra bonus. We'll have all of our leadership team there that night, and it is a nice opportunity again. This year we tried to theme each one in terms of different departments. We're taking, for next year, I'd like to take a look at what locations did well, where we haven't gone, maybe a different format, but all in all, I think this is another important piece for us to stay active and stay in front of the community and give community members an opportunity to see our leadership team in a different light, in a different setting. Community spaghetti dinner we held this year, which was a good foundation. I think it has a room to grow, and I think that could become a very positive annual event for us in terms of community outreach. And then SPOT, the Strongsville Positive Outreach Team that Jenny leads. We had some great events this year that we were able to, in terms of communication, in terms of community outreach, piggyback on and really generate some positive community support and positive community. The Greet and Treat event around Halloween, our Family First night in March, and then our class of 2017 yard sign distribution in May, which it was a great these were all great events to be a part of, and really, again, got some great feedback from. So, in terms of alumni outreach, we've established a database. There's about 650 Strongsville High School alumni currently in the database. They've submitted their contact information. We sent out the first alumni newsletter at the end of April, about 1,400 plus views right now. And then we are planning, this was on the docket for this year, but we pushed it back to next academic year to give us a chance to really do this event right and do it justice. the Distinguished Alumni event. So we've formed a committee for this event and for alumni outreach as a whole, and we are planning to have this event during the 2017-18 academic year. We do have some conversations scheduled with the Chamber to talk to them about their potential involvement with this program as well. But this is an important way to continue to celebrate our alumni and connect with our alumni, and we want to make sure that we do it in the very best possible way. So I mentioned earlier that we've sent two surveys out, an internal staff survey and also a community survey, both distributed to our to the respective databases. There were some main themes that focused on vehicles. What do you utilize? What do you prefer? In terms of the website, how often do you visit the website? What info are you seeking when you go to the website? And what would make our website more useful? A couple questions on the app that we've developed for the school district, and then some very basic questions on social media. The purpose of this first round of surveys is really to establish a baseline or a benchmark for our communications, and it will help us to not only review the effectiveness of our current communication, but give us a good guide for some new opportunities and some continued enhancements for our district communication. As I mentioned before, there's a question that allows people to give us written feedback, and we've gotten some great feedback that I'll compile and send around to everyone when the surveys have been out for a little while longer, and we've got a good sample size for it. So that is the extent of the presentation tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Go Cavs.
My only comment, and it kind of piggybacks on what Carl had said. When Duke and I came in to our positions, it wasn't the greatest of times for the district. The comments that I hear around town is the pride that they take in what, and I won't take any of the credit, what you guys have done as far as administrative team. People take pride in what our schools are doing, what they have been doing, and they like the communication they're getting out of the district. So that's a huge round for you guys as not just the administration, but the teachers, the support staff, and everybody else, because when you have people selling homes based on their kids coming to Strongsville schools, when you have the city and the councilmen and mayors noticing the quality of the service we provide our children and our families, that's saying something coming from when we first started. So great, wonderful job, everybody.
I think the term of the evening was rock star, and I think you are.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And once again, it's a team effort. It really is, because I wouldn't be able to be doing the things that I've been doing without support from our administration, without support from the board, without support from our teachers and staff members that have really there's a certain amount of buying into this. So I have to receive, or I have to be told about this information about the great things that are happening, and be invited into the classrooms and be invited into celebrating the things that are happening. So I really appreciate those comments, and I appreciate being able to do this on a daily basis. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Yeah, the exciting thing, and I shared this with Dan recently, is Dan, you're a little over a year now here, right? A little bit over a year. That people are on their own now reaching out to Dan. Hey, we're having this event. It'd be great if you can come by, or we're doing this lesson in class. So he's integrated himself into the culture of the district, and people he's now the go-to guy for communications. So that's been great to see, and it's all due to the work that he's done. So thank you for that presentation, Dan. We do have a couple routine or items for your consideration tonight. Under timely information number 3, approval of a tuition student. Be it upon the recommendation that Madeline Schnotterbeck be accepted as a tuition student at Strongsville High School for the 17-18 school year per board policy at the tuition rate set by the state of Ohio. And number 4, trademark license agreement. As we talked at the last board meeting, about the license agreement with the Strongsville Spirit Shop. Those terms were agreed to by the Spirit Shop, so be it resolved the recommendation that Strongsville City School District enters into a licensing agreement with the Strongsville Spirit Shop, allowing the use of the district's athletic logo as found in Exhibit A. Any questions on those items?
No.
Okay. With that, we'll turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Jenny Pilko with the Human Resource Report.
Thank you, Mr. Ryba. Under Human Resources this evening, I only have a few items for your consideration. Under B1, I have the resignation of a non-certificated staff member. Mary Arpadone has resigned from Kinsner Elementary School as the secretary there. And under E2, I have the appointment of Mary Arpadone for our new executive secretary for our Director of Instructional Technology. Mary will begin on July 1st and be considered for a 2-year contract with us. I also have the appointment of a certificated tutor of Judy Koth. And that concludes my report, unless you have any questions.
Nope. I always find it amusing that between item 8B1, Mary Aperdone was unemployed. And by the time we get to
Short
8B2,
second.
she's reemployed.
She's reemployed.
So I have
Yes.
so I have a question. Does Mary get her own parking spot like she does at Kinsner now?
No.
We
I'm
have our
just
own
teasing Mary.
unofficial parking spots here, so.
And I know Mary well. I'm just teasing her. She's a wonderful lady, in my opinion.
And then next we have Vicki Turner, Director of Instructional Technology, with her report for this month. Vicki?
Good evening. I do want to say that I have made a recommendation to Chef Mike, a way that he can earn some extra money is if they would make bacon cheese biscuits and serve those at the board office. I'd probably have a lot of customers
That's
here.
right.
So
Before every board meeting.
Our wellness coaches probably wouldn't approve. We do have our Meta contract. This is a little earlier than normal. It's because they offered us a 2% discount if we paid before July 7th. So be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that Schedule 1 of the agreement between Meta Solutions and the Strongsville City Schools be approved to provide information technology services for 2017-18 at an annual cost of $83,646.25. And that is, there is a 2% discount if paid before July 7th, which we will do, reducing the cost to $81,973.32. And then be it further resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that Schedule 2 of the agreement between Meta Solutions and the Strongsville City Schools be approved to provide Info Ohio Library services for 2017-18 at a cost of $15,906.50.
No discount on that one, huh?
No.
Okay.
So
Is that a new one? Is that Info Ohio Library
the Info
Services?
Ohio is, it used to be embedded in Meta, in the contract, and they did, and we had been, you know, there was kind of a warning, and the librarians had heard about it, and they did separate that. We have been investigating some other companies. Destiny is one. I've met with all of the librarians, and we're discussing what Info Ohio provides for their library service, their workflow systems, and we are looking at some other companies for next year. Okay, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Vicki, before you run away, Vicki, I just wanted to comment and make sure, we're still watching Meta.
Yes.
And making sure that they're gonna
Yes.
stay as a provider and their legal problems aren't going to
Yes.
come to
And
haunt us.
Cameron and I met, they did meet with us, and they explained their financial situation and all the changes that they've made, and we have been kind of keeping an eye on that and as they restructure and reorganize.
Okay, thank you.
And with that, Mr. Naso, that concludes my report.
Thank you. That brings us to item 9, which is the consent calendar. It's been requested that item 8A3 be removed from the consent calendar and be voted on separately, and all other items will be included in the consent calendar vote. So let's vote on the consent calendar first, excluding item 8A3. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Duke. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jane. Any discussion on any other consent item other than 8A3? George, can you take roll?
Sure. Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. That brings me back to item 8A3, which is the tuition students' approval. And Do I have a motion for item 8A3?
So moved.
Thank you, Duke. Do I have a,
Second.
thank you, Jane. Any discussion?
Yeah, Carl, I have a personal conflict of interest, and I don't want any appearance of that, so I'm going to abstain from it. I do want to bring to the attention of my fellow board members, I think it behooves us to consider this more deeply going forward. These situations, I think, are going to continue to increase, and Cameron, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time we've ever had this actually. We've always, the policy has existed. This is the first time we've had parents take advantage of it.
During my time here, that's correct. Yes.
Right, and so I think I want to make sure that we, going forward, and I don't have any issue with this one. It's a nice family. They're business owners in Strongsville and do a nice job in Strongsville. But going forward, I think it behooves us to make sure we have good guidelines and good procedures for these situations going forward.
George, just to confirm, it is tuition in full for what costs us to educate this student, correct?
Correct. It's tuition in full. It's the rate is set by the Department of Education. It changes annually. The rate for this school year is $11,334. The new rates will be published around August 1st.
Okay.
For the upcoming school
One
year.
final point is this is not to be confused with open enrollment, right? This is
Correct.
full tuition. So, any other discussion? George, could you take roll?
Sure. Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Abstain.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
And Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. That brings us to Board of Education Other. I do have a couple of others. I'll start one. Tonight was the first open gym with our new basketball coach, Mr. Guilfoyle, and I believe there were over 40 students there tonight participating in the first night. And I've been getting a couple of texts from there, and it was a high energy night with just a great turnout, and the kids were really excited tonight. I also dropped by on our new football coach last Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning for his workout, and there were 60 kids in the gym voluntarily working out, and it was just a pleasure to see, and it was really good. And then, of course, this weekend, we've got the baseball game in Columbus for the state semis. Tomorrow I'm gonna go down. And how many Spirit buses do we have?
Right now, I think we have one Spirit bus going down there.
Okay.
As far as I know, there may be another one, but yeah, tomorrow night at 7 p.m.
It's around 7, and then we've got the track, and then we have track
Track's
as
down
well.
there tomorrow as well.
State contenders, so it is a huge night for Mustang sports.
Is it one, Mr. Tamino, or one right now? It's
One
okay.
right now? Okay. I know my daughter will be on there, but I'll be following in my car. Anything else? Anybody have any other items?
I have one.
Yep.
I just wanted to also thank Dan Faust for always being willing and able to take pictures for my student achievement reports and going to all the buildings. So again, I appreciate that all school year. And you're on the hook again for next school year if you don't mind. And then I wanted to invite the community to the Strongsville Historical Society on June 10th, which is a Saturday, next Saturday, for a dollhouses and toy display. So the entire village will be open and all the houses will be open, and it's free to the public from 1 to 4. So come on out and check out the village if you've never been there, and hopefully it'll be a beautiful day.
Excellent. And the fundraiser that you're going to Saturday is?
It's Friday.
Friday?
Yes, it's Tommy Handloser, Tommy's team. He's a senior at our high school, and he is sick with, I'm gonna cry. He is sick with cancer, and we're having a fundraiser at Cleats, so it's a wingding, and I think it's sold out, but if not, give Karen Rebholtz a call or contact the Strongsville Instrumental Music Boosters, and you can
Make a donation?
Yeah, and they have baskets and things. We've had so many generous business supporters, so
Excellent.
it'll be a tough night, but worthwhile.
Worthwhile.
Speaking of bands, thank you, Jane, for that segue. My other is just to commend Mr. Chidsey and the the teachers at, the music teachers at the middle school for a tremendous concert we had last night. They performed a piece that was commissioned by, again, another one of our partners, the Strongsville Education Foundation. Dr. Swearingen, who wrote the piece, was there and was extremely impressed with our young people, high-quality folks, and really energetic, and performed superbly. If you didn't get there, you missed it, and I would advise you to try and get to the band concerts at every level, because the kids are really talented, amazing. I've been to ones where you expect a lot of reed squeaks and miscues, but not last night. They could have competed with the Cleveland Orchestra. They did really well. So congratulations to our music staff and to the kids at the middle school. And I've already told Mr. King and Mr. Heyer that they've got some real talent coming up to the high school next year. So Brian, you be on the lookout for them, because they're coming.
Was that videotaped? You know, will it be on
Yes,
the
it
cable
was.
channel? So
Yes,
if,
it was.
we can check the schedule and have that played.
Yeah, it was. It was a good event. And also senior projects were last night. And there were some amazing projects done by some of our senior students that are going to graduate on Sunday, exploring career possibilities for themselves, but really making a good name for Strongsville with some of the big businesses and agencies around the metro parks, Bob Gillingham Ford, just to mention a couple. There were several other career-type opportunities that they took advantage of and gave presentations on, which were also very interesting. That's it, Mr. Naso.
Nice job. All right, we do have
Tip off.
need for executive, we do have need for executive session tonight. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
The topic is to review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees.
Okay, second.
Thank you, Jane. Take roll.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Enter an executive session, 9:05.